Hi, I'm Nate with Realty One Group, and this is Nerd Talk for May 2026. And today we're going to be talking about the median sales price. It's one of those metrics that gets thrown around a lot, and for good reason, because it's a very helpful metric if we're looking at kind of where values are today, and we can use it to sort of see what the trend has been over the previous several years. We can see when the big spikes are and when things start to drop off using this metric. So it's a very helpful piece of information. But when we're talking about it at a very large level, at the macro level of the overall U.S. housing market, that's just not very relevant to you as somebody who just wants to know what their home is worth. The overall housing market makes up about 20% of the overall economy. So again, way too big to be helpful to talk about here. And when I'm talking about this metric, a lot of times I'm referring to the Phoenix metro area because we have readers all over the valley, and so I'm talking to everybody about where Phoenix is. But if we're talking about a specific neighborhood, homes within that neighborhood, the more local we make that information, the more accurate it becomes. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, before we get too far, I want to help to draw a distinction between the median sales price and the average sales price. Those two oftentimes get conflated. But they are very different, or they can be very different. Average is something that is really useful if we're looking at a big picture snapshot. It'll kind of give the average of a zip code or of a city. Median is the middle of the market. It means that 50% of homes sold for more, 50% of homes sold for less. It's a little more stable, maybe a lot more stable, because it's not as thrown off by the extreme highs or the extreme lows. If we're talking about a specific community and you have a $2 or $3 million sale, that can greatly throw off the average, whereas the median is still going to give us that middle market number. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, if you look at the city of Peoria, that's what we're going to use as an example for today. I live in Peoria. A lot of my readers are in Peoria. I grew up in 85345. That's sort of original Peoria. That's the south end of the zip codes. I now live in 85383, which is the north end. They are on different ends of the pricing spectrum, and I wanted to use that to sort of illustrate this point of why local matters. So if you look at 85345, the median sales price is $352,000. If you look at 85383, the median is $665,000. So very, very big difference in pricing. And it matters because if we're talking about how Peoria is doing, it's a pretty big city. It's not as big as the city of Phoenix, but it is still a big city with several different zip codes. And so that's why we need to make that information more local. Now, within the zip code, you have individual communities, and pricing can change from community to community. Even one street across can be significantly different. And even within specific communities, you have certain floor plans that are selling for more and some that are selling for less. And so we're going to talk about a few, again, to sort of illustrate this point. So if you look at where we are today from a pricing perspective, I said that right now we're sitting at $665,000 in 85383. That sounds great, especially by comparison to the peak of $650,000 in 2022. And so on the surface, that sounds great, and it is great. By the way, in 2021, it was $560,000. So it jumped significantly from 560 to 650, and then we had a little bit of a dip, and then we are now up to 665. So that's great. But if you look again if we zero this in even further, we can look at specific floor plans, and there's one I'll just point to. It's called the Hillary model, made by Taylor Morrison. In 2022, we sold a Hillary model with a pool, nice upgrades, $866,000. There was a sale just last 2 or 3 weeks ago, so May to May, 22 to 26. Same floor plan, so the exact same square footage, with a pool, same level of upgrades, not too much significantly different from one to the other. And the one today sold for $685,000. So even though the median sales price is above where it was in the peak of 2022, this floor plan once sold for $866,000 and today is selling for $685,000. And that's why the more local, again, the more we zero this information, the more accurate that becomes, because somebody could be misled believing that their home is actually worth more today than it was in the peak of 2022. And clearly with this example, that would not be the case. And so for you, again, as a homeowner who wants to know what their home is worth, this is why having somebody who understands values and understands your area is so important. Because just reading the news, even just reading my newsletter, that's not enough to really give you the information you need to know how you need to make your decisions. And so with that, if you want to know what your home is worth, if you want to know what's going on in your specific community, please do give me a call. My phone number is 602-529-4092, or you can go to brillteamhomevalue.com, plug in your address, we'll send you a market analysis for your home, and I promise we won't spam you, we won't bug you, but it'll at least give you a good idea of what your home is worth today. And if you find this information helpful, if you want to share this to somebody else that might be considering selling their home or just wants to, again, get an idea of what's going on with their value, please send this to them as well. But until next month, I really appreciate you watching this, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye.